So my grandmother always used to say two things. Julia, thing number one was health is the most important. Once you are healthy, everything else will be fine. Second, once you turn particular age, time flies. Me, being in my 20s, I didn't really understand what is she talking about. Time goes the same time all the time. However, from the perspective of time, I thought that whatever she was reflecting to can reflect to the one of the main problem in the aging population. And here I would like to show you the association between age-related diseases and aging. And as we can see, all of these diseases go up with the age, and they increase the mortality rate in the aged population. So the problem is like this, that if we treat one disease, let's say cancer, in the aged population, it doesn't eliminate the risk of another disease. And if we treat another one, it also doesn't eliminate the risk of another one. So why not to target the main risk factor, that is aging, to delay the onset of all of these age-associated diseases and extend the health span? So how do we fight aging? Aging is the multifactorial process, and there are many biological events that contribute to this, like DNA damage due to genomic instability, telomere shortening, or very well-known dysregulated nutrient sensing that can be observed in diabetes patients at the old age. However, today I would like to draw your attention to cellular senescence. Cellular senescence comes from the word senescence, and from Latin it means to grow old. In biological terms, these cells stop dividing, and this is irreversible. They cannot divide anymore, but they don't die. And this happens in response to different triggers, in response to different stress and damage, like DNA mutations, oncogenes, and mutations, oxidative stress. Cell senses it, and stops dividing. But it doesn't die. It's alive in our body. And if you think about this, it can be a very positive mechanism to withdraw damaged cells from propagation, and it can inhibit tumorigenesis. Since they also are active and they secrete lots of proteins to their environment, it can help in the wound healing. However, when we get old, these cells accumulate in our body, and they are all the time active, meaning that it can become toxic. They secrete the proteins, and they can call immune system to come, and because it's chronic, it causes chronic inflammation and scarring of the tissue, deterioration of the tissue, and many different age-associated diseases. So why these cells accumulate in our body? If we think about dynamics of the cells in our body, it can be explained very easily by this model, which takes into account production rate. It has to do to the challenges and stress the cells is exposed to, and the elimination rate, removal, which is strictly correlated with immune system-mediated clearance of the cells from our body. And if these two reactions are kept intact, the senescent cells abundance is kept low, and we are healthy, we are good. However, when we age, the balance between these two reactions goes impaired, and we know up to now that when we age, there's lots more yield of damage in our body. However, we don't understand why immune system cannot clear it efficiently. And what I asked in my research is how these senescent cells escape immune clearance, and whether we can target it to extend health span in aging. So in my research, I used lung as a model organism, and I used aged mice or chronically inflamed, or mice that suffered from chronic inflammation in their lung, chronic inflammation is one of the main manifestation of aging in the tissue. And the most striking result that I observed is that these cells, senescent cells, stress cells, upregulate PD-L1 protein. And it didn't depend really on cell identity, meaning that it doesn't matter whether this is epithelial cells that is involved in gas exchange in the lung or macrophage that is there in the lung and serves as a first line of defense to protect us from the pathogens that we inhale. All of the cells that underwent senescence, that were exposed to stress and underwent senescence, upregulated this protein. Now already I have the proof that it doesn't only happen in the lung. It's a universal mechanism that happens in different organs across our body. So it's a universal mechanism that happens in our body, but it's strictly connected to the molecular mechanism that these cells use to induce proliferative arrest. And I would like to make you think about this in such a way that when cells are exposed to the stress, they can change many different biological processes within them. And one of such processes is the rate that they degrade proteins, different proteins. And in case of this protein, PD-L1, there are different modifications that can induce stability or enhance the degradation. And what we found is that in dividing healthy cells, the modification that is present is targeting this protein to degradation. However, in damaged cells, this modification is present at way lower level, meaning that it helps the protein to stabilize, and over the time it accumulates in the cells. So why do we talk so much about this protein, PD-L1? PD-L1 is one of the main critical immune checkpoints, and it means that it inhibits immune system. It deactivates components of immune system from doing their job. So when this protein interacts with receptor on immune cell, it blocks its activity. So what we thought about doing is to use this protein as a target for drugs. And in this case, the drug was antibody that has a very strong affinity and specificity towards PD-L1, and it blocks the interaction between this protein and receptor on immune cells, keeping intact the activity of immune cell. Moreover, the drug interacted with the activating receptor in immune cells, activating it to come and eliminate senescent cells. And I used this strategy in the mice which had problems in their lung, which had diseased lungs and increased inflammation. And to such mice, I gave them PD-L1 antibody, activating antibody, and they've seen that it helped to reduce the amount of senescent cells, bad guys, and in such a way also it helped to reduce inflammation. It helped to attenuate inflammation and other disease-related phenotypes, and we think that this strategy can be applied in the long term to attenuate age-related phenotypes and increase health span. So what I said in the beginning, I would like to finish with the take-home message that we, biologists of aging, we think that we can fight aging by harnessing immune system to attack senescent cells and eliminate them to extend our health span. And remember, once you're healthy, everything else will set fine. Thank you.